What's up, legends? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm bringing you guys the most straightforward guide possible to complete the main quest Easter egg on the tomb. A couple things to mention though before we dive in. All the steps are actually fairly easy and can be done with very little investment, but you need to be pretty much fully suited with everything before heading into the boss fight. Recommend you utilize a couple of the side Easter eggs to acquire a free pap crystal, shooting the charged rock followed by shooting all the moving ones, and the free rarity tool for freezing the 2 dark ether waterfalls with cryo freeze. For a weapon recommendation, I highly suggest using the ASG-89, which I will leave a loadout for in the pinned comment down below. Our first step, like previous main quests, is to acquire the wonder weapon. For the tomb though, it's the ice staff. I don't recommend wasting a wonder bar gobblegum to acquire it, as the first part you need to start the Easter egg is the monocle, which is locked behind eliminating a shock mimic that spawns no earlier than round 8. Once eliminated, you can pick up the monocle and either continue on to build the ice staff or skip ahead a little if you got one from the box for how to upgrade it. With the monocle in hand, we now need to acquire the 2 parts to build the ice staff. From the spawn room, both the first door to the left and to the right contain art on the wall which we will need to light up. The path to the left will be looking for a bowl painted on the wall, and on the right it will be a guy painted on the wall of the cave. In both rooms you will see a lit up purple crystal lantern that you can shoot to move its location within the room, and you will need to do so in order to position it in the spot closest to the painting to light it up with Roman numerals. You will now want to shoot these in order, and if done correctly, it will start an event. Purple orb will come out of the painting and move to a location in the room where it will spawn a group of enemies for you to eliminate. If they glow purple, they count, as it sort of works as a soul box before moving to a new location, repeating the process. Once the orb makes its way back to the painting and you complete the final wave, the event will complete, granting you one of the 2 pieces. Now, depending on which one you decided to do first, head to the other and do the exact same thing to get your second part. With both parts in hand, head into the dark ether near where the pack-a-punch is located, where you will see a wall structure with a hole in it where you can walk up and interact to build the ice staff, starting a defend event. This part can actually be pretty tough depending on your situation with lack of perks or possibly armor. You should have a charged up ether shroud on deck alongside a decoy. During the event, tons of zombies will be spawning in pretty much continuously. The ones you will need to make sure you eliminate are the glowing purple one. I'm not sure if it's actually time-based for completion or works as a soul box with a certain number of the glowing enemy eliminations needed, but keep the staff alive, and when it completes, you will be able to go back to where you placed it, and it will be finally able to be acquired. Now it's time for us to upgrade the ice staff, which we will need to continue the Easter egg steps. Remember the purple crystal lanterns from earlier? Well, we need to do our best to get 3 rooms of crystals to be as close to each other as possible by shooting them and waiting for the right respawn, because we need to use the ice staff to freeze 3 of them in a very limited time window. You will know if you've done it correctly or fast enough because a voice line can be heard from Archibald saying, "Extinguish the flames, froze the crystals," allowing you to move forward to the next step. Head back into the dark ether and you will need to be looking at the floating rocks in the sky to find the ones that have the glowing rune symbols on them. You will only have 3 rocks with symbols, and each will need to be shot with the ice staff to lower them down. It's important to note the symbols will be different each game, but the symbols are static to specific rocks, but make sure to look closely at which symbols you get, because once the rocks are all lowered, one of the doors leaving the dark ether will be blocked, and you will need to make your way to the other side of that specific one, where you can use the ice staff to shoot those symbols you got on the door to reopen it. Head through the door where you will spawn on a rock above the area near the ice staff build in the dark ether, and you can interact with a purple orb. Note, if you shoot the wrong symbols and head through the door, you will fall to your death, or at least into last stand. After interacting with the orb, another event will start, which makes the orb into a soul box that goes around the dark ether space. Make sure you keep up with and eliminate the enemies that spawn to keep the orb moving until it makes its way around to this ice staff wall, inserting itself into the empty spot. Although you will encounter a few specials including the electric mimic and an amalgam, you shouldn't have too many issues, especially if you did those side Easter eggs I did mention earlier. One important thing to keep in mind if you are not solo, everyone needs to be in the dark ether following the orb or it will fail automatically. Same goes if you get too far away from it. Once the wall is charged up, you can go up to it and interact with it to upgrade the ice staff to Yule's Arrow. After upgrading the ice staff, we can now do the steps from the main quest. Within the dark ether are some pillar-like structures that have a statue in front of them, one with a vermin, a parasite, doppelgast, and an amalgam, with a crystal being present on the vermin one. Switch to the other end of the staff or its alternate firing mode and blast the crystal on the vermin statue to light it up with a purple flame. Interact with it to send it to its location of its matching statue outside of the dark ether, which will be in the spawn. Head over to the spawn to the vermin statue that should now be lit up and interact with it to start an event. Only vermin spawn in continuously until you eliminate enough of them, which is extremely easy with the charged blast from the staff. Once you complete it, you will be able to grab the purple flame from the vermin statue, and you need to take it back to the one in the dark ether, but won't be able to use the portal closest to the area. In this case, the blue one would be closed. Another part of this process is that you can only take a limited amount of hits, which is easily avoidable as long as you keep moving. Once you return the flame to its place at the vermin statue in the Dark Ether, you'll now be able to move over to the parasite one, where a yellow crystal will now be visible and able to be blasted with the staff's green end. Just like the one we did for the vermin, we will need to interact with the flame to send it to its version outside the Dark Ether. This one is located near Stamina or heading through the yellow portal indicated by the crystal we charged. Head over to the now glowing parasite statue and interact with it to start the event. This one isn't just about straight up eliminations like the vermins, so you will need to focus on the purple glowing parasites that will drop a purple orb you'll need to grab and take to the statue to turn in, kind of like the Beam Smasher step on Terminus. Once you've delivered enough purple orbs to the statue, it will be completed and you can interact with it, grab the flame where you will need to return it to its matching version in the Dark Ether. I recommend heading to the red door or the one you opened the Dark Ether with, as it's much closer than the spawn. Once returned, you will now be able to move to the Doppelgast statue with a green crystal you can light up with the green end of the staff. Indicated by the color of the crystal, once you light it up and interact with it, head through the green portal to find the matching Doppelgast statue near Speed Cola. Interact with this to start the event, which pretty much consists of just eliminating around a handful of Doppelgast teamed up with some zombies, which is made really easy with the charge shot from the staff. Make sure to grab the flame, and like the last one, I recommend heading through the red portal as it's not as far away as spawn to return it to its matching statue in the Dark Ether. Now we can light up the last and final statue, the Amalgam. Make sure to interact with it to send it to its other location, which is indicated by the red crystal, is easiest to reach through the red portal. Head over near Quick Revive and interact with the statue to start the last event. An Amalgam will spawn in that you should be able to easily damage down until a shield becomes present that requires a specific attached zombie to be eliminated in order to break it, where you then will be able to continue damage. Similar to the Doppelgast step, the Ice Staff can really make things easy, damaging the elite alongside pretty much making the zombies irrelevant. Once completed, return the last flame to its matching statue in the Dark Ether. With all the statues lit, the pillars will all shoot beams at the rock in the sky, generating one towards the doorway to the boss fight. Head over to the location between the blue and yellow portals where you will see a raised podium you can now interact with to finally build the bridge to the boss fight. Whenever you are ready to enter the fight, just make sure you head across the bridge and interact with the Sentinel artifact. Like I said earlier in the video, you will want to be really prepared for this boss fight with a Pack-a-Punch level 3, legendary rarity alongside all the important perks. You could also stock up on some monkey bombs, but maybe avoid the Casimir since they can be eaten by the electric mimics. But after starting the boss encounter, the Sentinel artifact will glow orange and shoot a laser in a direction while rotating in a circle. Avoid the laser while eliminating zombies as the artifact goes between the bottom and top levels a couple times. The second time it goes to the top level, it will eventually stop on a statue and turn purple, where you'll then have a limited amount of time to damage the artifact in hopes of breaking the shield. The time you have can be indicated by the traveling orb from the artifact to the statue. I recommend charging up a staff shot while training the zombies as it goes up the second time, so you can time it to hit the group when it turns purple, giving you plenty of time to damage without issue. When the artifact makes its way down, it will split into two before repeating the rotating laser step with increased difficulty. Just keep switching between the bottom and top levels opposite of the lasers and charging up staff shots to deal with the zombies until the two artifacts go up the second time, stopping on yet another statue and turning purple, ready to be damaged again. If you use the ASG, it's actually possible to damage both the artifacts, dealing 2 phases worth of damage during this time, but if you only manage to do one, don't worry about it, you just won't skip the next phase. Just like last time you broke the shield and damaged the artifact, it's going to lower down, splitting into 3 if you only broke one of the two, or 4 if you manage to break them both. You will again stay opposite to the level of the lasers and take out the zombies with the staff until the artifact turns purple to once again take damage. After you completed all 4 waves, or 4 artifacts get damaged, you will begin what I consider the second half of the fight. This is where things turn up a notch, because you will at all times pretty much have 4 lasers rotating between both levels continuously. You will now switch focus from damaging the rotating versions of the artifact to the specific enemies that spawn in wearing one. At this point, I recommend sticking to the bottom level only, as you can use the walls as cover while utilizing PhD to slide across the gaps to avoid getting hit by the lasers. 4 different enemy types will spawn in wearing an artifact that you will need to eliminate for it to drop a purple version of the artifact that can be damaged similar to the first half of the fight until the shield breaks. I found it was fairly easy to get the damage in if I managed to get the last shot on the enemy with the charged Ice Blast. After completing the first artifact wearing Heavy Zombie and breaking the shield, the next enemy type, the Doppelgast, will spawn. If you didn't manage to break the shield in time, another heavy zombie will spawn in for you to try again. Damage down the Doppelgast with blasts from the Ice Staff to easily deal with surrounding zombies, while also making sure your other weapon is prepared to damage the purple artifact when it drops. Break the shield in time, and your third enemy type, the Electric Mimic, will show up wearing the artifact. This was, in my opinion, the most dangerous enemy type because one single shot could be a near guaranteed down. Do everything you can to stay away from it while blasting it with the Ice Staff until it drops its purple artifact for you to damage. With the Mimic down, the final enemy type, an amalgam will spawn in where you once again have to keep your distance, damaging it down, likely with the ice staff until eliminated where you can focus that purple artifact. Something to keep in mind during this step, whenever the 4 artifacts rotating with lasers turn purple, it will spawn in another wave of enemies, so the longer it takes you to get through the artifact wearers, the more chaotic it could feel. After finally breaking the shield of the artifact from the amalgam, the artifacts will all return to the center before beaming one to the top of a doorway on one side of the arena. Once the artifact reaches that spot, you will get a limited time to damage down the rest of the health, otherwise you will be eliminated, but if you manage to succeed, you will have completed the main quest Easter egg for the tomb. Hopefully this guide can help you on your journey to conquering the tomb and taking down the Sentinel artifact. That's going to wrap things up for us here. Thank you guys for all the support in today's video, all the support in the channel, and I look forward to seeing y'all in the next one. Peace!